So I was looking, so I went back and watched some more videos because Autumn did a video on gut health. Lily and I were talking this morning about gut health because Lily and Bev and Maribel, I think, were talking this morning about gut health. And so that's how we got to gut health again today. But I watched Autumn's video, but then I also watched the one with Shawn Stevenson. And if you're familiar with the Model Health podcast, highly recommend that podcast. And then he has 2 books out, Sleep Smart, and is it Eat Smart? Oh, he just released it. I think it's called Eat Smart. And so that one was released around the time of his interview with Autumn, which I think was December 2020. So it's in the Nutrition Plus videos under monthly videos. And it was a great talk, and they kind of interwove some gut health into it, but just in general, eating habits and, different things, different topics along eating and how we as Americans eat. But so in April, we did this call about Eat Smarter. Thank you. Yeah. In April, we did this call about gut health from just Autumn's video. And so I thought we could kind of revisit it a little bit, but I also, there was a challenge from that time, and I thought it would be pretty fun to put that into our groups and just throw it out there for people to try out. So let's kind of just review a little bit of what she talked about. And I'm pulling up my notes here. That's why I'm looking in the corner. So she talked a little bit about gut dysbiosis. So if you've heard that term, that's basically when your bacteria have an imbalance. You have bacteria that benefit you, and you have bacteria that are working against you, essentially. So when those things are out of balance or out of whack, you have gut dysbiosis. And you'll know you have that when you commonly have abdominal pains, diarrhea, food sensitivities, a hard time losing weight, a hard time gaining weight, fatigue. Those could be any of those things, right? It can show up in a lot of ways when you have gut dysbiosis, because if your gut is not able to break down in the food the right way with the bacteria, you may not be absorbing the nutrients as much nutrition as you could. You may have issues, things passing through your system. So you may be feeling that in different ways. So it's one of those things where it's not a once in a while if you're bloated, right? It's definitely something that's a little more, that's more chronic and is affecting you in a negative way. And one of the things that I talked about with Lily this morning, especially when it comes to gut health, unfortunately, a lot of our MDs don't necessarily have a lot of knowledge about microbiome and nutrition and changing that. But registered dietitians should have more information on that. Nutritionists should have more information on that. And maybe naturopaths, right? Depending on what their specialties are, but it's definitely something that you want to look into with a professional, because we could talk about a lot of different things that have worked for us or other people, but it's so personal. And it so has to do with everything in your own microbiome that you definitely want to work with someone on your own food plan and with your own food journal and to go through those steps. It's like us, right? Like we are all so individual, and your microbiome is a match to you. It is individual to you. And it's one of those things that we definitely need to put a professional on. Maybe change up a meal plan or add in different things or try different things, but they would definitely have those resources for it. So we're going to talk in generalities and nothing that's going to be, medically mandated or medical advice for this discussion. So, but one of the cool things from that video that I think we maybe forget a little bit is our immune system and our serotonin production primarily happens in our digestive tract. So the foods you're eating, the absorption that's happening, all of those things affect your immunities and your serotonin levels. And you definitely want to make sure you're giving yourself the best chance for all of that. So the way you do that is by obviously a diversity of whole foods. So we talk a lot about that with any of the nutrition programs that we're using, that whole foods are really important. And The thing that Shawn Stevens talked about in his video was diversifying raw versus cooked, how it's cooked. That also changes the nutrition levels. So if you're always doing spinach raw, your body may not be getting past that cellular cell wall of the spinach to get the same nutrients as if you had cooked it. So it's also something where you can diversify how you're cooking things, or if you're cooking things, so that you're getting different nutritional values from your foods too. And then a couple stats that I don't think we covered in the last time we talked about this that I thought were pretty fascinating. Autumn mentioned that 32% of our American diet calories come from animal foods. 57%, okay, 57% come from processed foods. I think that's probably low in some households, but
that's a high number.
57%, that's a lot of processed food. And then only 11% of calories are coming from whole grains and whole foods. I think she said whole grains, but we'll go with whole grains. Could be whole foods. I'll have to rewatch to make sure I don't want to say that wrong. So clearly we could do a lot better on our food sourcing and just really making sure that we are eating things that give us the best nutritional advantage. Does anybody have any questions you want to talk about, like kind of with that? That's our recap from the last time we talked about it.
So you're saying that if I have spinach more than once in a week, I should cook it different ways so that my body can absorb it differently?
You will get different nutritional value from cooked spinach than you would from raw spinach. So you can, is I guess what I'm saying. Like basically what they talked about is we don't really talk a lot about micronutrients, but micronutrients definitely change things for you. It's not the big shifts, right? But if you're always eating raw spinach, then you're getting a different set of nutrients than if you're mixing it up or if you're only doing cooked spinach. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Because isn't there that one diet that it's like the raw diet, nobody cooks anything? I don't know
Yeah,
which
I'm
one.
sure that, yeah, there's a diet for everything, right? There's a cabbage soup diet. There's a, you know, we could make up our own diet right now if we wanted to and just make a book.
Yeah, right. It doesn't even have to be a good diet and work. People
Doesn't.
won't.
Doesn't even have to be in reality. We could, yeah, we could have a cat food diet. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my cat here. So I'm like, we could have a cat food diet and then like all we do is cat treats. I would definitely get very little calories. So. But the point being, right? So, you know, and that's the other interesting part they talked about, with whatever the diets are, you know, the quality of the food is what really matters. And it's not necessarily, you know, all these, you know, there's all these different styles of eating, but you also have to figure out what is working best with your body. So you could be on paleo and things aren't changing however you want them to change. And someone would be like, well, I guess you need to paleo harder, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe paleo's just not for you. Maybe it's not the way your body responds to things, likes things. You could eat vegan and be awesome, right? But then add in meat, animal proteins, and that doesn't work well with your body. Or vice versa. Autumn was talking about how she went vegan and felt horrible and was angry at everyone and wanted to fight everybody and wasn't sleeping, and then added in you know, some animal protein and felt great. So it's one of those things where you really have to pay attention to you and figure out what the best model is. I don't think anybody could ever go wrong with, oh geez, dog, go wrong with eating whole foods, right? And moving your body. Those are the basic structure. From there, you have to kind of key into what's best for you. So one of the things that she talked about in that video was a challenge, because one of the leading experts on biome was talking about the way you can make your biome more diverse is to have of 30 different vegetable or 30 different plants, doesn't have to be vegetables, sorry, in your diet each week. Okay. So 30, so if you had broccoli one day, then that's one. And then like, if you can't count broccoli again and 2 days later, right? So it's broccoli would be one. So 30 different plants each week. So she put up a challenge, and I'm going to share this really quick.
What if you cook them different ways though?
I don't think that counts either for this scheme.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And so this is the gut health challenge grocery list. So basically these are all the things according to container that would count in this gut health. And so the goal was you go through and check off how many you have in a week and see, can you get to 30?
I think I'm lacking this.
Right? I eat a lot of the same things, right? Especially if there's
Yeah.
things in season. Like right now I have like a peach a day because they're in season. So, different, like I don't have strawberries because they're not in season right now. So I thought it would be pretty interesting though to throw in the group and just see, throw it out there and see how many we can get. There is a little tracker down here that you can track how many of each one you had during the day so that you can see what you get to by the end of the week.
Interesting.
It really is. I've always heard about diversity and stuff like that, but it makes a lot of sense because you're getting a lot of different micronutrients that are going to help then different bacterias in your microbiome, because you want to feed those little guys that are doing the best things for you. Has anybody had sun chokes? I don't think I've ever had any.
They're good.
No, but I just counted 18 of those from last week this past week that I've eaten. So
Oh, nice.
I know.
We can have a little challenge to see how high we can get, maybe.
All right, now I'm gonna look.
I mean, and that was just a quick look, look.
As soon as I said challenge, Lily's like, I'm in. Let's do
Lily, you're in, aren't you?
doing this. All right. Well, I will put that. Sorry, are you still reading?
Wait, you took the list away. I'm counting.
Oh, sorry. I'll go back.
It's all right. I took a screenshot of it.
I'm on
I'll
it.
count later.
Okay.
I'll let you know, Sue.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll put that in the group and then we can see where we're at. But basically his challenge to people was if you can get 30 different plants a week in consistently, your gut and microbiome is going to be in a lot better shape. That is the help.
I need to diversify, obviously.
I do
I tend to
too.
eat the same thing the same way a lot.
Yeah.
Well, because it's easy, that's what they tell us. Stay simple so you follow the plan. So,
Yeah. But I could diversify my vegetables more. There's so many different vegetables that you can bake easily.
Maybe diversify in how you're cooking too, right? Maybe you have like some raw Brussels sprout shredded salad versus a roasted Brussels sprouts.
Mm-hmm.
I do like my raw shredded Brussels sprouts in like a salad burrito.
Yeah.
With like turkey lunch meat or chicken or something. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
I feel like there was maybe something, I'm trying to think if there was something else I was going to talk about with them. That I highly recommend that Shawn Stevenson interview. I thought it was really fascinating. He's just so fantastic, and I could listen to him for hours because his voice is amazing. But
What are you saying?
He is like so smooth sounding. Like you
Yeah.
kind of just want to like melt into your couch and be like, yeah, tell me some more.
His face is nice too.
Yeah. 100%. That's why it's the model health show.
Oh,
I think
Is
he was the model.
is that interview in the podcast, the monthly podcast, or is that somewhere else?
That's a question. It could be in her podcast because it was a 3-part video. I watched it in Nutrition Plus.
Yes.
Under the monthly videos, but it could be in her podcast too.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I seem to remember starting that, but not finishing it.
Yeah, and I listened to one from him, and we talked about sugar a couple weeks back, and he had a really great podcast about sugar and the history of sugar, and I have a history degree, so I was totally fascinated by all that. And he had a lot of really great information and how ingrained it is. Oh, that was the other thing he talked about in this one too. That's on Nutrition Plus. So this 1,200 calorie thing, I'm sure like any of us who've been coaching for any amount of time, someone has come up and said, I'm on 1,200 calories. And I'm always like, where did this number come from? How did this happen? So he talks about it in this interview because there was a engineer, I'm pretty sure she was an engineer, and they were doing some research for engineering and kind of happened upon calories. And through some of this, then related it to food, and then related it to, she found out she could do 1,200 calories and she wouldn't put on weight no matter her size or, like her height. And so then it just kind of became like this marker. And, so much of that other stuff, like 8 glasses of water a day, that's such an arbitrary, like that has no scientific basis or anything anywhere. So it's like things like that where it's like someone's kind of said it maybe popped out in some kind of research somewhere, and then it just became like the standard. So I found it fascinating.
So the half your body weight in ounces is not.
That is more accurate. 8
Okay.
ounce, 8 ounce glasses of water, because it was like 8 glasses of water a day used to be like the norm. Now half your body weight in ounces is your minimum. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say.
And that is more scientifically accurate. Yeah, that has had some study to it, where the 8 glasses of water a day has not had any study to it.
Gotcha.
Because that's like 64 ounces, right? Am I doing my math right?
Yes.
Somebody help me out here. I did take calculus twice in college. Okay. So,
Depending on how big your glass is too.
well, I think
My glasses are not 8 ounces.
right. I think they meant 8 ounce glasses, right? A cup. Yeah. 8 cups
Yes.
of water. 8 cups of water.
Yeah, mine are 24 ounces.
Right? Yeah.
Of water.
Swimming. Yeah. You'd be swimming. So yeah, does anybody have any questions about gut health or things like further things you want to kind of dive into? We could, talk in some more generalities or, I think, it's hard because I think specifically a person needs to really dive into it for themselves. It's hard to it's kind of like when people ask for, result before and after photos for a program. It doesn't matter what somebody else did with it. It matters what you're going to do with it. Right? They all work. They all work great. Exercise works. Yeah. Eating good foods work, but it matters how you are using those things and working it. So.
Yeah. My answer usually is, well, what program will you stick with?
Right.
Consistently.
Or what results are you looking for? The term results is so like arbitrary, right? Like what results are you looking for? So, and I feel like there's a shift happening now, which I hope, I mean, it feels like it's happening with autumn, and they talked about it a little bit in this interview with Shawn Stevenson, of nutrition is a all the time goal, all the time plan. Sometimes you might be in a weight loss mode. Sometimes you're in a maintenance mode, whatever it is, but nutrition is always, right? So it's not like you're only on a nutrition plan or you're only eating well because you want to lose weight, or it's only for weight loss. And I think we're seeing more and more people realize that the things going into their body is their overall health, and a huge factor in their overall health versus just being to get a result from it, right? To get a weight loss result or whatever results they're looking for. Because I feel like in the 90s and 80s, it was all about like, let's just lose some weight.
Yeah. I'm still there. I wanted to lose weight. That's my goal.
But it's so much all the things, right? And there's so much that goes into weight loss. I was listening to another video the other day. Who was that by? Oh, it was a nutritionist here locally. And she's like, people with pre-diabetes issues the studies show they also have sleep issues. And sleep is so heavily related to your body function, right? And how you're doing, and to weight loss, and to energy levels, motivation, right? It's all there. It's all connected. And she was talking about how all these preconditions, a lot of these people have sleep issues too. They have sleep apnea that is untreated, and things that they need to be treating in order then to also gain traction on their health.
That's another one of those numbers. They say you should get 8 hours of sleep a night. Is that written in stone somewhere?
It's not. Seven can be okay for some people. I'm between 7 and 8, and I feel pretty good. Under 6, and I can definitely tell I have not had enough sleep, and I probably have to make up for it somewhere, or people not want to be around me. But yeah. And it's funny because when I get a lack of sleep, or if I've been waking up, I start to hallucinate in the middle of the night. Like last night, apparently I thought one of the cats was on our ceiling fan. And so I woke my husband up. I did not have great sleep the night before. So yeah, it's entertaining around here.
Wait, what caused you to hallucinate?
If I don't get enough sleep, like if I have a rough set of sleep, like when the kids were born, oh man, and I was not sleeping, I was hallucinating all like spiders on the wall and all kinds, like that the cat was attacking them and the poor thing was not. And I'd hallucinate all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'd kind of be sleeping and then I'd wake up and realize it's not reality. But
is it only sleep related, or is it food related as well?
I don't think it's food related, but I will say the nights I have recharge, I remember my dreams, which I find interesting, but I feel like I sleep really well, but I remember what I dreamt about. But I feel like more rested.
So are those same nights that and you don't have to answer this, but are the same nights that you are hallucinating, were you drinking any alcohol that day as well?
No, when I drink, I have 1 or maybe 2, and I'm rarely even like buzzed.
Yeah.
I never go to bed with a buzz. I don't like it. So I'll have it early and then be totally sobered up by the time I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like things spinning around when I'm trying to go to sleep.
So you're talking about sleep and food. So after doing the ultimate reset, when I reintroduced beef back into my life, what I noticed was I had nightmares when I had beef. Okay. And so I have tested this, and for me, that is exactly what happens. And it was so weird because I had really bad dreams the other night, and I had a hamburger before bed. I had a cheeseburger before bed. And again, we eat a lot of venison, obviously, because we're hunters, but it doesn't bother me. It is so bizarre. And I talked to my doctor about it because I'm like, am I super weird? Is there something wrong with me? And she's like, no, just everybody reacts differently to food. But it's for me, that's so powerful, because I'm like, look how much that impacts. I can tell it is almost like clockwork. If I have a hamburger or something, I think it's the fat in it, honestly.
Well, I wonder, is it always store-bought, or do you ever get someone that's homegrown and slaughtered?
I'll have to try that. But there was a time when I had pork, and it had the soot in it. And I had the same, similar scary dreams, tornadoes, just really bad dreams.
That could be the research, so I'm sure someone's researched that somewhere.
I know yeah.
I wonder if it's how it's metabolizing in your system.
Maybe, yeah. Or if you had it early in the day versus late in the day.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Don't eat beef.
I know. I don't eat it very often. Again, we eat deer meat so much, but I do like a steak every now and again.
Wow.
I just thought it was weird. I just figured you guys would find that interesting, because it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
when
So-
I was younger, I used to have the problem with peanuts. If I ate peanuts, I would have a lot of dreams. But if I ate dry roasted peanuts, I would have nightmares.
Wow.
Yeah, the
Weird.
difference between, I don't know if it, I don't do it anymore, so, I haven't tested it, but
Yeah.
it was weird.
That's nuts. I'm sorry, I had
That
to.
is nuts.
Sorry, I'll go back on mute.
Is that
Now,
another one of your awkward statements?
Sorry. Yes.
So funny.
Dry roasted nuts really don't make me feel good at all. I'm good with raw nuts, but dry roasted nuts, they don't sit well in my stomach.
Interesting. So it's something in the processing, right? The heating them up or something
Yeah.
about that change is something that your body doesn't agree with. So you could have a food sensitivity to whatever that shift is in there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and Autumn mentioned she doesn't eat nuts anymore because she would get such bad inflammation from eating nuts.
really.
Really?
Are
So what
nuts
does
something
inflammation
that
feel
cause
like?
inflammation?
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Did it cause it?
Are nuts something that causes inflammation with
Not
like,
normally. I wouldn't say, no, that's a food sensitivity, right? That's how you can kind of tell that you have some sensitivity to it. And she said her gut would be wrecked. So I don't know if what, I would assume that meant some diarrhea or whatever, but yeah. And she mentioned peanuts. I don't know if tree nuts, we call peanuts, even though they're legumes, but yeah, she had to stop having peanut butter.
Oh, wow.
oh, that
So
would be
what does
horrible.
inflammation feel like? What it like, again, I understand sensitivities, but what is inflammation? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
look
Well,
like?
I think it could show up differently, right? It can show up as water retention, like where you feel bloated and you feel kind of swollen.
Mhm.
If you have some sensitivities, that can show up in diarrhea. I don't know if the inflammation causes the diarrhea piece of things or how that works. And sensitivities can show up, other ways like hives, headache, fatigue, brain fog.
So that's signs of inflammation?
Well, that would be signs of a sensitivity, I would say. Beverly, how would you characterize inflammation, do you think? You probably have more history with it than I do.
Well, so if you're having inflammation, it can present, once it gets to an external presentation, it can present as many different things, from gut issues, meaning stomach aches, bloating, diarrhea, vomiting. It can be, skin issues like eczema, rosacea, acne, just random style rashes, which usually are pretty much eczema. It can, and even sometimes, like there are people that will get like these bubbles or these bumps on the backs of their arms, and they call it like, they used to call it like chicken skin or something like that. That's actually a sign of a food sensitivity that has just been, labeled as, oh, that's just something you get. No, it's not, but it's something you're getting because you're doing something that your body's sensitive to. Joint pain, headaches. It just, like, there's so many, problems sleeping. My gosh, you could probably name it and it's probably like, yes, that can be a sign of a sensitivity, or a sign that you're dealing with inflammation.
Right.
Because whatever it is that you're dealing with, headaches are really, really common. And you're not supposed to get headaches.
Yeah, and a lot of things trigger migraines, right? That can be food related. I think, sometimes we kind of just like assume, a lot of women get migraines and you're kind of like, well, it's part of the deal, but there can be some triggers you can figure out and then remove. to help with that.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it can even cause like issues with like female issues. I mean,
Right,
it can cause issues for you to, you know, have problems with your reproductive system even. So, I mean, inflammation has, so many different facets to it. Oh, you're in 2 places, Sue.
I know. Way to go, Sue. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Woo.
Yeah. So Jess, to answer your, I think inflammation is meaning really that things are irritated, and then how it shows up is quite diverse.
Right. Exactly.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
So has anybody had a food sensitivity test done that they really recommend? I've done the Ultimate Reset twice. I like it. I'm not patient enough to figure out what it is that's causing different things. So I don't know. If nobody has anything, that's fine. I'm just curious.
I did. I mean, my son and I did ours, but I'm going to be honest, it was really expensive. And what you also have to remember is with most of the food sensitivity tests on the market, there can be levels of inaccuracy to them. I mean, because it can just be because you're currently consuming a lot of something in particular, and that's showing up as you're becoming sensitive to it. But if you like remove that from what you're eating, then it won't be. I don't know how to explain that. Like it won't show up. Then it'll be like, oh, that's, you know, it was just that you were consuming a lot of that recently. But then there are also things like, so my son was dairy free and had been dairy free for over a year. And when he was tested, which by the way, I just saw like the Everly Well or whatever it is, that they just do like one little droplet of blood on each of these little circles. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. We had vials of blood drawn, and it was sent away, and they tested it multiple days in a row against you know, foods and environmental things and spices and all sorts of stuff. And the reason why it's not just an allergy test, which is because we've had those, I've had that done. My older son had that done. And, you know, where it's like the prick pattern test on your back and you end up with all these welts everywhere if you have sensitivities or allergies or whatever, which we did. And so like, but with a sensitivity test, they're literally seeing if there's a reaction like days out past the initial thing, because you can have symptoms days past when you actually ingest something. Whereas a lot of people are like, well, I don't have any sensitivities. Well, how do you know that? Well, because I don't have anything that upsets my stomach. And it's like, that doesn't tell you anything, because it could be something that you ate 3 days ago that presents. Generally speaking, the gut stuff, I think, is more quicker to respond. But I mean, like with my son in dairy, he had been off dairy for months. And we had tortellini. It was on my birthday. My dad had made tortellini and with a cream sauce, homemade, all that. And then he made a chocolate swirl cheesecake, which he also makes the best cheesecakes. And so Jacob hadn't had dairy in months. He had the tortellini. He was fine. Then he ate a piece of the cheesecake, got up from the table, went and threw up, came back and said, "Can I have some more cheesecake?"
Wow.
It was like, no. But it was because he ingested that like large quantity of something that he did have a sensitivity to, that was like, boom, that, I mean, it like the tortellini he was okay with, but then when he went even further and ingested even more in that one sitting, it sent him over the top. And then when he was tested, they're like, oh yeah, he just should stay away from dairy altogether forever and ever. So,
What a shame.
Which, on a side note, Shawn mentioned 70 to 75% of people have dairy sensitivities.
yeah.
That many? Wow.
That many.
Yeah. And you
Wow.
really won't know unless you remove it from your diet completely and then put it back in. And actually the large quantity, putting it back in large quantity is kind of it helps trigger it a lot quicker. I know for me, so when I had my gluten sensitivity, I had been away from gluten for over a year, and I had really severe brain fog, like to the point where I wasn't able to converse very well. I struggled to know what words I wanted to say and what things were. Like I knew like what a cup was, but sometimes like I'm not exactly sure if I remember not remembering cup, but there's still plenty of things that I just couldn't, it's like that thing right there, you know what I'm talking about. And, but so that was really rough for me. And a year passed when I hadn't had any gluten. I was on a trip. It was a conference, and somebody had marinated chicken in soy sauce. And I had eaten the piece of chicken and come to find out that there was soy sauce. And soy sauce has wheat in it. So it has gluten. And I took every single precaution I could possibly take at that point, like to cool my gut and to just protect myself. And I still ended up like regressing for a few days. And I was so scared that I was going back to where I was. It was like, yeah, I had a couple days where I was just like, oh my gosh, please do not tell me that I have to go through this again, because it was a nightmare for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, so everybody has a different level of sensitivity, and I very well may not be that sensitive anymore, but I don't need gluten in my life.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you, because like eggs were kind of, I mean, I wasn't nearly as sensitive as you're talking about, but like, I'm like, I've lived without them now for a couple of years, and you know, I don't want to go back to that feeling I had and the brain fog, and you know, so why bother? And I'll have them like, it was funny because I was actually out the other night and there was some egg on my salad and I ate it because I'm like, well, let's just see, because I know I'm not super sensitive, and I didn't feel any result from it, which was great. But if I have it, like, I've noticed, like if the kids make cookies and I have a couple each day for a few days, then I notice like I'm starting to get a little off. So, you know, it's kind of that over time. And, you know, food sensitivities are, I mean, my understanding is the best thing you can do is an elimination diet, add things back in, and that's how you figure it out. Because if you're not eating those things, like if I took a sensitivity test right now, likely eggs wouldn't show up on it because I haven't been eating them. So
But if they did, then you'd be like, holy cow.
Now I'm like, yeah. But like, even like I have several friends with celiac and celiac kids, and you have to go off of the gluten and then go back on to do the testing. So you have to have it in your system to test it. So the things that you're testing on need to be in your system, essentially, is what I'm saying. So if it's something you suspected is an issue, but you haven't been on it, then it's likely not going to show up. So then it doesn't really confirm.
Well, and eggs are one of those things where it can be the
It could be just the egg white
to the white or to the yolk. Yeah.
And I haven't tested that theory. I do occasionally, I'll walk into the house and David will have just made some fried eggs. I'm like, oh my God, those smell amazing. I do miss them. I mean, they're just the easiest protein breakfast ever.
Well, and you could see, like, since your kids like to bake, there's a couple different things you could just try having them swap out whole eggs for egg whites,
right?
And see if you have the same type of response that you're getting.
Yeah.
Or you just end up just having them make flax eggs. It really doesn't change. It just doesn't change them that much. It really doesn't.
That's what's so nice. I think now that there's so many great food alternatives and food products, you're able to, still have things you enjoy. Oh, that was the other thing. I've been curious about this myself too, because he talked just a tiny bit, and I should look and see if he has a podcast on it, but they were talking about peanut allergies because of what Autumn had said. And just, how growing up, I didn't know anyone with a peanut allergy. And now all of a sudden your kids are in school and there's all kinds of peanut allergies. And it's curious what the shift was. And while there's a lot of talk about the pesticides and insecticides that are just in our environment now that weren't before, they also have suggested that there was a shift in our microbiomes, right? And that shift, he didn't go into detail about it. I wish he had, but that shift also then changed how we react to things. So as a society, I guess we had a microbiome shift, but I'll have to look and see if he has a podcast that goes into more detail on that.
Yeah, peanuts are really, I had to remove peanuts. Well, I chose to remove peanuts because often peanut butter, it can decrease your thyroid production. Like it's just a natural thing that kind of decreases it. So I used to eat peanut butter like crazy. And, but then after researching, I did find out that peanuts are highly GMO. So they're not natural peanuts anymore, for the most part, unless you're buying organic. And they also are, yes, they're covered in pesticides and stuff like that. But the way that they're housed after they're picked, they often have mold that has grown in their, the way that they don't take care of them fast enough or whatever. I'm not exactly sure, but the way that they house the peanuts after they have been picked, they end up getting a lot of mold. So I don't, now we will get peanut butter, but it's always organic. I am 100% organic peanut butter. I will not get regular peanut butter. You can't pay me to get regular peanut butter. And it actually is sweeter. It's way, way sweeter than just regular peanut butter.
Yeah.
No sugar, no salt.
Yeah.
It's just so good. So
I was gonna say, can you tell me more bad things about peanut butter so I'll stop eating it?
well, I mean, just switch.
We're not gonna stop.
Look, Lily,
Just
Lily,
switch
get
to
on me.
organic.
Look at this. It's right here in front of me. I was eating out of it. Look at the spoon.
Just switch to organic at least. At the very least.
This is a very sad.
Hey, Beverly, have you?
And I go through phases. I won't buy it, but I'll buy it. So I'm gonna finish it. So yes.
Beverly, do you eat natural peanut butter?
What?
Do you eat the natural peanut butter?
Yeah, the organic natural. I don't just do natural. It has to be organic.
Okay. I've never seen that before.
Oh yeah.
Even Walmart carries it.
Yeah, it'll be it'll be in all the stores for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Target has a brand that I like. I just wish that they would jar it in glass instead of plastic. Once again, I think it is once upon again. If you look up once again, you'll probably peanut butter, even if it's not 100% right, the right manufacturer, it'll pop up. And that brand is more expensive because they are 100% organic and they jar it in glass. And
here's
so
a 5-pound bucket for you. Kelly, I'm not sending it your way.
No. Am I still on? I'm like, no. No. Don't say those things out loud. Bad.
Hey guys, have you tried the one from Joel's wife, the peanut butter?
No, it's a all American something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have not. To me, it looked like I like just straight nut butter. I don't want any crap in them. So, and it always seemed like it had like sprinkles and I don't know, chocolate chips.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, it's super expensive. I know that.
So I have a question. How do they, because it has extra protein in it. What makes it extra proteiny?
They probably put a protein powder in it. I can look it up and see.
So they just add a protein to the
It's
peanuts?
just blended in, I'm sure. They just take some type of protein and blend it in.
I can do that myself.
True.
So you were asking about Shawn in a podcast. He has one from July 20th. It's Inflammation Masterclass, the Brain Gut Liver Connection and Anti-Inflammatory Superfoods.
Okay, so what day was it?
July 20th.
July 20th. Okay, awesome. I'll take a picture of that and connect it in the group too.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's the Model Health Show?
Yes.
Okay.
He's
Are
got
you
like
leaving, Jess?
500 of them, so.
I mean, he has so much good
Hold
information.
on. We gotta take a picture. Jess is leaving.
Get a picture.
Oh.
Hi,
And I
Kelly,
have
where'd you go?
American Dream
1, 2, 3.
angle here.
Okay. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Jeff.
Bye, Jess.
The peanut butter was called American Dream.
Mm.
Let me look here.
I put the link to the Amazon once again brand that Bev had recommended.
I will say that that's expensive for that brand even. That's not how much I normally pay for it. I usually will wait until it goes on sale, and it's usually under $8 for a jar.
Okay.
And yes, $8, not 2 or 3 for the giant jar of Jif. Kelly.
Well, for
I
40,
don't know what I pay for it.
50 bucks, you can buy 5 pounds of it. So
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's a good deal. If it's that particular brand, I didn't even notice that.
you can buy 9 pounds of it for $83.
Wow. Well, and that's the crunchy, lightly sweetened. I don't know about that at all. None of what I get does not have any added sugars. Yeah, this
that
has
one
added
probably
stuff.
has added sugar in it.
Yeah, this has added stuff in it. This is not the one that I get. I can show you which one I get.
Sorry, I just grabbed the first one that I saw under that brand. I
Oh,
would not
okay.
get one with sugar either.
So the American Dream, or yeah, American Dream one, I'm in the one that looks like it has Reese's Pieces in it. So whey protein isolate is what they add to it. So the roasted peanuts is the first ingredient, and then they add the whey protein isolate, which is fine, totally fine. But you kind of have all these toppings in it, right? That are full of crap, like caramel color and red 40 and yellow 6 and artificial colors and partially defatted peanuts. I don't even know what you do to the peanut to do that. So I don't know. I'm not a huge, and there's some soy lecithin in it. And I don't know. To me, I find that kind of stuff kind of gimmicky, and just eat some real food.
You could just take your chocolate chips and put them on your peanut butter.
Yeah, take the thing,
Yeah.
or coconut, flakes or chocolate chips or things you can read what's in it ahead of time. You don't
Or
That's
need
one of my
Shakeology.
favorite things is it's tablespoon of peanut butter and some chocolate chips, the cacao chocolate chips, and unsweetened toasted coconut.
nice.
That's my
There you go.
yeah.
Lily could make her own peanut butter right there.
Yeah,
Lily-
I've actually looked at buying that stuff from Joel's wife's friend or whatever, and that was my same conclusion, was that there's too much junk in it.
Yeah.
Right.
So like even the link that I put in the chat for that one it has one additional sugar, but it's has a whole bunch of crap in it.
Yeah.
Like
It
dry
does.
roasted or blanched organic peanuts, organic palm fruit oil, organic sugar, salt.
Mhm.
Like you just need peanuts and some salt or no
Yeah.
salt.
And the one that I get is like that.
Yeah.
And this had 9 grams of protein And I think regular peanut butter is like 6 or 7 grams per serving. So I don't think you're really, it's not, to me, that doesn't seem like that big of a jump to like be like, oh, this is super protein.
Yeah, that's not a big enough jump either. I have seen ones with more than that though. But
Yeah.
like this one's 7 grams of protein, but it's also full of sugar. So
This one's my target one. My other one's downstairs in our storage area. But this one is, it's dry roasted peanuts though, dry roasted organic peanuts. But I'm sure you can get it without, I'm sure that you can probably just get it just with regular peanuts too, organic peanuts. But it's 8 grams of protein. And the total sugars is 2, but there's nothing additional in it. So
Right. Probably just naturally occurring sugars.
mhm. Yeah, I feel like when they actually dry roast it, I feel like that might also bring out some of the additional sugars.
Very well cooked, yeah.
Yeah.
well, yeah, so this same brand that you're talking about, there's one on here that's creamy, unsweetened, salt-free, gluten-free, I think
Yeah.
is what they're, yeah. And so it is just dry roasted blanched peanuts.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's 9 grams of protein and
Mm-hmm.
1 gram of sugar, no additional sugars.
Right.
You get, you
So-
get the same amount of protein than you would from the American Dream nut butter.
Yeah. So this is 9 pounds and it's $40.
Yeah, that's a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah, but that's really good.
Doesn't it go bad after a little while? I don't think you should
Well,
keep.
it has oil, so it can go rancid.
Yeah.
Well,
It'll take a while.
probably doesn't have any oil added to it.
Maybe
But
that.
as
has
long
that
as you keep
part.
it, as long as you keep it in a cool, dark area, I can tell you, because like, so this right here, sun butter, we get this sun butter from Trader Joe's. It's sunflower seed spread, because that's what I transitioned to. I found sun butters that gave me the peanut butter replicated flavor, which it tastes more like non-organic peanut butter to me. Because organic peanut butter is much sweeter than this. But this is like one of my favorite brands that gets closer to the flavor of peanut butter. And it's just roasted sunflower seeds and salt. And it has 7 grams of protein. But we had one jar that we had put up here on our shelf that, like, I mean, our pantry, we have like a makeshift pantry. I know it sounds really awesome. It's a shelf that we put our canned goods on because we don't have enough cabinets. And so we had one that was not open on the shelf for months. And then we had others downstairs in our basement. And the one that I ended up opening, because it was after doing the ultimate reset. That's what it was. It was on the shelf while we were doing the ultimate reset. And then it took months before I started eating sun butter again into that quantity. And it was gross when I opened it. It was like, it smelled funky, but then the exact same stamped date downstairs in our basement in the cool, dark, no sun, no nothing light, other than, overheads. And it was perfectly fine. It had nothing wrong with it. So if you can keep your peanut butter in a place where it's going to be like in a cool, dark space, then it can last a long time. But
Keep your peanut butter in the closet.
you keep your peanut butter in the closet. That's funny.
Yeah.
In a cool closet.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause I'm telling you, like that part of our house is underground, so it's cool there.
Yeah. Well, we are already at 6:05. Happened fast.
Mhm.
So if anyone has anything they want to continue on with next week or talk about, really quick, there's possibilities in the coming future that we will cancel a Thursday once a month, depending on my schedule, or if anybody wants to sub in. but it's kind of unknown right now because it really depends on whether or not I have to go in person to the PTO meetings or if we're gonna have them on Zoom. If they're on Zoom, we'll still be here. If they are in person, then it will be during this time. So, but we'll just kind of come to it when we come to it and make arrangements then.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan.
All right, you guys. This is going to puppy preschool next week. Yes, because you don't listen. You don't listen very well.
What is the nut that is the least fattiest? Is there or the best for you? I know Kim had those. What was that?
I would say almond, but I'm not totally 100% on that. Because like macadamia nuts, cashew nuts, the Brazilian, they're all high. Sunflower, you're right. So, and peanuts are legumes. So tree nut, maybe hazelnut might be one.
Yeah. What about walnuts or pecans?
Walnut, it could be. We could do a Google search.
I was gonna say I'll just have to Google it. I was just curious because there's so many different kinds of nut butters nowadays. So I was just curious if there was a better choice, even though I'm not sure I'd give them my peanut butter.
But I wouldn't say less fat makes it a better choice. It's really about the nutrients that come with it because that fat's good for you and your brain needs it. So
that's true.
It's really diversifying those two because you don't want to just be on one nut either, right? Almonds are going to bring something that walnuts don't bring, that hazelnuts don't bring. And so if you can kind of diversify it, you'll get more micronutrients too.
That's true. I could add to my list.
That's right. And I think, is that on the list? Were nuts on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were there blue?
Some of them were. Yeah.
So there you go. Then you can start checking stuff off.
It's on, Sue.
All right, let's go. We got this.
I'm gonna have all 30 for dinner tonight.
Okay, Lily, I'm posting a thing where we're trying to get 30 different plants in our week. So I'll post. So yeah.
That sounds good.
You should watch the beginning of the call when Deanna posted. I'll post it because we were talking about eating different foods instead of eating the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Which I'm bad at. So
Yeah.
Me too.
I was saying I need to get better. And Sue was saying, well, I've already had 17 today. And I was like,
Not today.
man.
Week.
Oh, this week. Oh, okay.
That would be really impressive if I was 17 in one day.
Well, come on. You've already had breakfast, lunch, and probably dinner, right?
No.
Yeah, but that's a lot. I think I counted 16 at a quick glance. Because I was checking too. I was like, yeah.
16 different foods.
16 different plants. Yeah,
Plants.
plants and food. I mean, because rice was on there, rice and quinoa and
So plants, grains.
yeah,
Okay.
fruits.
Yeah.
You'll see. Look for the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because then
I'll
you
put
can
it on
check it
there.
out and look and see what are your favorites.
Some spices were on there too. I was like, okay, if we're gonna talk about spices, like, are they all? Because why is coriander on there, but like cardamom isn't on there, turmeric wasn't on there? I mean, like, come
No,
on.
turmeric was on there. I thought.
Maybe a cardamom is a seed. It's not, so maybe that I don't know, and maybe it doesn't have the same like profile or whatever that's necessary for this. But
List.
Autumn put cardamom on her list normally. Maybe she just went off of the food list. So cardamom might not be used enough to be on her food list all the time. You know what I mean? So she just took it from the food list. So she probably didn't add to it, but cardamom should count. It would have fiber. It's ground seed. It's a pop.
Gotcha. Well, turmeric is a root.
Yeah, but she probably had it on her list already. You know what I mean? Like there's probably some spices that aren't on her list. So
I'm arguing the list already.
right?
Like, where are there?
Argue
Like,
the list.
well, yeah, I mean, there were fruits that weren't on there either. And it's just like, are you hating on the fruits too? Like, come on.
Well, maybe we need to, make our own list, add to the list. You could have some provisionals or something, or like, not on the list, but I think it should count list.
Right.
Maybe she just took the top part of each list.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
turmeric was on there. Basil, parsley, coriander, chive, cinnamon, turmeric, fresh garlic, fresh ginger, lemons, and limes for your freebies.
Well, then I had more than what I thought I had.
I would say those are probably just the common things she already had on the food list. I'm sure she isn't adding to them, because then we're going to have a whole conversation about why those aren't on the original food list, but they're on this food list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Well, I don't count cardamom or coriander as, as a seed when I'm putting them on, when I'm sprinkling it on my food, because
No.
I just had both tonight.
but
actually.
you might get some kind of biome, microbiome benefit from them.
That's nice. Yeah. I definitely do stuff to support my gut biome. I do it all the time. I haven't stopped having jicama because it's such a good digestive. It's really good for your gut health. It's really good to support a good, happy gut.
Nice.
Jicama is?
Yeah, jicama. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's just so, I mean, it's so easy to put into salads, and it's,
Yeah.
I mean, Jacob eats it daily.
Yeah.
It just sticks.
It's not on her list.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. I mean, it's like I eat it every single day.
Okay,
And
maybe
it's in the ultimate reset.
It is in the ultimate reset. Interesting.
Uh-huh.
I wonder why
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, I now know like why there are sprouts. I mean, that's a whole nother thing that helps support your gut health and your digestive tract, and sprouts are in there, and
Yeah.
they do carrots. And I mean, carrots can be really beneficial, especially depending upon how they're, like when they're raw, like how they're actually, like if you eat them shredded.
Yeah,
And
those aren't on the list either.
carrots, my gosh, no wonder I eat those every single day.
No, they're not on this list unless they're under something else. They're not under green.
I
I
don't.
eat them at least every other day, probably every couple of days. I have carrots.
I have them probably every day. That's part of my not diversifying. I have them.
We need to message Autumn and just find out.
I know, like, come on.
We're doing the
Ah.
challenge and it's not on the list.
Does it matter the order of the list at all? Like, is kale better than sprouts?
Yeah,
At all?
it did, but
Okay.
yeah.
Is a
I got
jicama a
carrot-
fruit or a vegetable?
Is what?
A jicama, is it a fruit or a vegetable?
It's a
A
vegetable.
vegetable.
It's got some starch in it, but it's a vegetable.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's very, apparently did you see that light behind me? Oh, we're getting like lightning, I guess, behind me. It is, I can't remember what I was going to say. It's
Yeah.
extremely fibrous. It's
So is it-
extremely fibrous. So you want, like, when you pick one up, you want to make sure that it feels heavy, because there should be a lot of moisture in it. And stores will keep it on the shelves because produce people don't know what the heck they're doing. And just being honest, and it'll start to like get withery, and it'll like sink in like spots, and it'll start getting like a greenish mold. It'll start to mold on the outside.
Yeah, we got one the other day that was kind of dry on the inside, and then it's awful. You really need one that's moist, because then it's actually crunchy and, watery.
So you eat it raw?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
So
peel it?
yeah, you peel it.
All right.
You peel it.
Is it counted as a green or a yellow?
Green.
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 Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah. And like it's really good if you can do it thin, like if you have a mandolin and you can just run it across there and do like little thin strips. And like we have a restaurant down the block here that does it in lime and chili powder and
Nice.
salt, and it's super good. It's super refreshing. You can mix it with some cucumber. It's really delicious.
My
It's
mom
got a
always
very
puts it
light
in
flavor.
salad. Yeah. My mom always grates it up like a carrot and puts it in a salad like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Bye.
I gotta
Bye,
go.
Kelly.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I gotta go
Bye,
too.
you guys.
Have a call.
Bye.
Let's get it.
Bye.
We'll talk later.
Good to see all you. All right, bye.